Good afternoon, everyone. In this episode, we will continue our discussion on the remaining topics we're not able to discuss in the PRB 3 or in the third episode, which is the difference between affidavit and sworn statement, as well as the legal consequences of false testimony in executing an affidavit under oath. Now, to reiterate our topic last third episode, it's about what? Classification of legal forms. We learned that legal forms have two classifications, no? As you can see in the screen, that is somewhat like a structure, no? Regarding classification of legal forms, no? Ginawa ko diyan ng ganyan para mas madali natin na maintindihan. Sundan lang ninyo kung saan naka-point yung arrow. Okay? So the two classifications of legal forms are, number one is the business forms. The business forms, or under business forms, there are two types, no? The so-called business transaction and business contract. While in judicial forms, there are four types: the ordinary civil action, special civil action, special proceedings, and the criminal action. We learned also that ordinary civil action are the most and frequently filed cases in civil courts, like the breach of contracts, torts claim, for example, car accidents, promises of the increase of salary, property rights, and many more. In addition, there are essential documents to file a case under ordinary civil action, and these are the complaint to initiate the case, answer as defendant, mandatory response, and cross-claim to allow co-parties to assert related claims. Under special civil action, there are primary documents needed to file a petition, and these are mandamus, quo warranto, prohibition, and etc. Under special proceedings, to initiate complaint, you have to file a petition like petition for escheat, petition for habeas corpus, and petition for guardianship. Under criminal action naman, you can file a complaint in the prosecutor's office, and upon probable cause and reasonable certainty of conviction, the prosecutor will file the information in court. So that was the previous topics, discussed in PRV 3. This time, we will discuss the difference between affidavit and uh, affidavit and sworn statement. Okay. By the way, what is an affidavit? So, nandyan sa screen. Affidavit is the written version of swearing under oath, no? To tell the truth, just as if you were testifying in a courtroom, no? The document is signed both by the person making the statement called and affiant. So, affiant ang tawag doon sa pipirma ng isang affidavit. Take note that one. And by a person who is legally authorized to administer an oath, such as notary public or certain court and government officers. The certain court and government officers mentioned here are the notary public ex officio, and by the virtue of their office and function, they're allowed to administer oath by, but limited only to their office or jurisdiction. So na-discuss na natin ang about that one. Based on the definition, affidavit is a written version of swearing under oath. From the word written, meaning your statement is reduced into writing, specifically in an affidavit forms. Take note, once the affidavit is being sworn and notarized, you have now an accountability because any false statements under oath is tantamount to a perjury case. And this is now the importance and legal implications once the affidavit is being notarized. Okay, swearing under oath before signing an affidavit is a crucial legal requirement for several reasons. Number one reasons, ang sabi dyan, an affidavit is a sworn statement of facts that holds the same weight as testimony given in court. Bakit kaya? Ganito po yan. Once you executed an affidavit, especially in a criminal case, your obligation as an affiant does not end there. Take note, sa word na affiant, kasi yun ang term na gagamitin pag pipirma ka ng affidavit. No? By just merely signing your affidavit and sworn it before a notary public, your obligation is now subject to the court's authority. When this affidavit is being part of the information filed in court, take note, no? Take note, the word information, no? Information naman ang term na gagamitin pag ang complaint is i-forward at i-file na doon sa court. Then going back sa ating topic, no? And then the court now will send you a subpoena or subpoena ad testificandum, no? When we say subpoena ad testificandum, this is a legal writ, no? That compels or require a person to appear in court to give oral testimony as a witness. So, yun po ang ibig sabihin ng subpoena ad testificandum. Mayroon din tinatawag na subpoena lucisticum, no? Iba naman yun, hindi naman yun person, kundi documents, no? Ang dadalhin doon sa court. Okay, pero dito, focus muna tayo doon sa person na pinadalhan ng subpoena. Okay? Now, during trial, your written statement or affidavit will now be subject for cross-examination by the defense. No? Ilalagay ka sa witness stand and you will swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. By swearing under oath, you declare that the information provided is true to the best of your knowledge. Now, kung makikita ng judge na nagsisinungaling ka, pwede ka makontempt at makulong. Same lang din yan sa Congress hearings and Senate hearings. Pwede mag-testify na may sinumpaan na salaysay or sworn statement. Pwede rin walang prepared sworn affidavit. Pero, pag nagsisinungaling ka, contempt or pwede ka pa rin na makulong. Kaya sabi dyan, same weight lang sila. Kasi wala kang pagpipilian. Kundi, ang magsabi lamang ng pawang katotohanan. Akala nyo, madali lang mag-testify sa court. Halong kaba at takot. Ang iba nga, kahit malamig sa loob ng courtroom, pinagpawisan pa. No? Lalong-lalo na yung mga nagsisinungaling. Okay, next, number 2. Ang sabi diyan, if an affiant knowingly provides false information in an affidavit, no, or sworn affidavit, no, they can be charged with perjury. Yes, that is very true because telling lies or pagsisinungaling is a criminal offense that can result in fines, community service, or even imprisonment. Take note, providing false information in a notarized uh, affidavit undermines the integrity of the legal system and can lead to severe legal consequences for the affiant. Okay, proceed tayo sa number 3. Number 3, swearing under oath emphasizes the importance of accuracy and truthfulness in legal documents. It ensures that the information provided can be relied upon in what? Can be relied upon in legal proceedings. Affiants are legally responsible for the content of the affidavit, and by swearing, no, under oath, no, by swearing under oath, they certify the accuracy of the statements made. Bibigyan ko kayo ng kunting advice, no, at may kasamang gulang. Kung ikaw sa affiant, especially pag ito'y criminal case, no, isipin mo palagi ito, no, trust no one. Lalo na pag ikaw si arresting officer. Before you sign, dapat nabasa mo talaga lahat ang contents ng pipirmahan mong affidavit. Do not just rely na, minsan kasi ganito ang attitude ng ibang arresting officer. Okay na yan kasi magaling ang investigator ko. Remember, whatever statements na nandoon, hindi liable si investigator. Kasi statement mo yon. Ang ginawa lang ng investigator is nag-draft lang ng affidavit mo. That's why it is necessary to check the contents, no, first before signing an affidavit. Kung hindi mo naintindihan ang mga nakasaad doon or nakasulat doon sa affidavit, no, para sigurado ka, as with legal experts na yung kakilala mo at siguradong talagang kakampi mo. Baka naman ang nilapitan mo na counsel or lawyer is yun pa ang counsel din ng defense. Patay tayo dyan, no? Sabihin ko sa iyo, mahirap ang mag-testify sa court. Lalong lalo na pag may mali sa affidavit mo at later mo na lang na-discover. Talagang nangyari mga ganyang bagay. No? Kahit sa experience ko, nagkakaroon ng mga ganyang aberya. No? Kahit sa simpleng typographical error. No? Especially doon sa date and time kasi hindi na-edit. Yun ang naka-experience ako ng ganyan. No? Pwede yan. No? Pwede yan maging daan para i-dismiss ang kaso, no? Dahil lang diyan sa kunting mga mali, no? Kung hindi mo ma-defend ng maayos, patay tayo diyan, no? Remember, kung ito'y criminal case at ikaw ay police, no, ma-dismiss ang kaso mo, lalo pag ito ay drug cases, the PNP organization will file you a administrative complaint at pwede kang ma-dismiss sa serbisyo. So, ganun kahirap. Hindi ko kayo tinatakot, sinasabi ko lang kung ano yung reality. Okay, next we'll proceed to number 4. Okay, so still we are in the legal significance of affidavit. Swearing under oath before signing an affidavit is a crucial legal requirement for several reasons. No? Pang-apat na rason, ito na yon. Affidavit is witnessed by authorized individuals who has notarial commission to perform a notarial act. Alam na ninyo to kasi palagi na natin dinidiscuss ito, di ba? Affidavits are typically signed in the presence of a notary public or another authorized individual who administers oaths. This adds an extra layer of verification to the truthfulness of the document. Okay, next, number 5, prevents fraud and misrepresentation. So, anong ibig sabihin nito? Swearing under oath acts as a deterrent against fraud and misrepresentation in legal matters. It holds individuals accountable for the accuracy of the information they provide. Yes, mapiprevent ang fraud and misrepresentation because it is the duty, no, trabaho yan ng notary public. Kaya nga hindi basta-basta sila binibigyan ng notarial, tinatawag na notarial commission, no? Because ang trabaho as a notary public is to check and evaluate kung tama ba ang mga nakasulat doon sa sinumpaan mo na salaysay. At totoo ba na ikaw talaga yon, and voluntarily and willingly, at hindi ka talaga pinipilit to execute your affidavit. One way of verification is to ask, no? Importante yan. Magdala ka ng valid ID and any documents to prove your identity. The notary public will ask you, no? No, before you sign an affidavit, the notary public will ask you if you really understand the contents of your affidavit. And bukod pa doon, dapat you will answer it in affirmative. Ibig sabihin, sigurado ka talaga before the notary public will take you an oath and let you sign your affidavit. So, ganun po ang proseso. At yun po ang proper. Pero, minsan, no, ako mismo, nagpapanotarize ng document, nagbayad lang ako, no? Nagbayad ako, bigay isang copy sa kanila, isang copy din sa akin, pero as I observe, no, di naman ako pinag-off, no? At parang hindi rin 'yun ang talagang notary public, parang trustee lang niya, no? Trustee lang niya. At tinitingnan ko ang pangalan doon sa papel kung sino yung pirmirma ng uh, notarization, nakapangalan naman doon sa pangalan ng kung sino yung notary public. So, I surmise that maybe yun lang ang kanyang golden hand siguro, no? Marunong sa kanyang pirma, no? Baka busy si notary public. Pero para sa akin, hindi po ganoon dapat. Oo, madali lang ang proseso, no? Wala nang pususuri, hindi na nga ako hinihingian ng valid ID, no? Pero pag ganon ang ginagawa nilang proseso, prone talaga yun sa error kasi hindi na nasa check yung documents. Kaya the next time around, di na ako bumalik doon. So, yun lang yun. Okay? Yun po ang mga legal requirement about sworn affidavit. Sana kahit pa paano, na-explain ko ng konti at may nakuha kayo at naintindihan. Okay, now, let's proceed to sworn statement. So, in this discussion, malalaman natin ang kaibahan ng affidavit at saka sworn statement. Nung una, nalilito din ako dito kasi so, bakit affidavit, sworn statement? So, later, no, malalaman natin kung ano yung difference nila. Okay, we will define first what is a sworn statement. A sworn statement, ang sabi dyan, is a written statement provided in a legal context where the person making the statement attests to the truth of the information provided. It includes paragraph known as the endorsement paragraph where the person affirms that the details are true to the best of their knowledge. Before we will discuss the endorsement uh, paragraph, I want to clear out first the definition of a sworn statement para di po kayo ma-confuse or malito. Baka sabihin niyo, sir, bakit sabi mo kanina pag sworn statement is verbal at dito naman sa sworn statement may nakalagay din na written. Nakakalito nga lang naman, no? Ganito po 'yon. Sworn statement can be in written and it can be also in oral form. So alam naman ninyo kung anong ibig sabihin ng written, nakasulat. Pag oral, to walang nakasulat, verbal lang. Nagsasalita ka lang doon. Yun po ang ibig sabihin. And it's just a matter of the term na ginagamit, no? Pag sinabi kasi natin na affidavit, ang laman nito, no, is your written statement, allegations, claims, etc. At take note, no, during our previous discussion, uh, magiging authentic lang to kung ito'y ma-notarize na ng isang notary public. Kaya nga ang sabi ng sa previous discussion natin, once a private document ma-notarize, it will now be convert into a public document. So tanong, doon tayo sa term. Remember, legal forms, no, is very concerned about the terms and phrases that we are going to use. Kaya i-discuss talaga natin to ng maigi para maintindihan natin, no? When it comes to the term, kung ano ang pwede natin na gamitin. Tanong, anong term ang pwede natin itawag sa isang affidavit na hindi pa naka-notarize? So, we all know that pag hindi pa naka-notarize ang isang document, considered siya as private document, no? Pero focus lang muna tayo dito sa term na affidavit at saka sworn statement. Pwede bang tawagin na affidavit or sworn statement, no, pag hindi pa naka-notarize? Ano naman ang term na gagamitin kung ang affidavit ay naka-notarize na? Pwede bang tawagin na sworn affidavit, affidavit, or sworn statement? So, kayo na mag-isip muna, no? Bago natin ipagpatuloy ang discussion natin. And ano naman ang term na gagamitin kung ang affidavit ay naka-notarize na? Ayun na pala yung sinabi ko kanina, no? Okay. So, what is your answer? Okay, in general, affidavits and sworn statement differ only in what? Formality, notarization, requirements, and typical usage. Once the affidavit is already notarized, magiging sworn statement na siya or sworn affidavit. So tandaan niyo yan, no? Ulitin ko. Once the affidavit is already notarized, ibig sabihin napirmahan ng isang notary public. Ang tawag doon magiging na siyang sworn statement, no? Or pwede na siyang tawagin na sworn affidavit. Pero kung hindi pa siya naka-notarize, pwede lang siyang tawagin na affidavit lang, no? Or simply your written statement. And it is part of private document. However, kung pinatawag ka sa korte, Congress, Senate hearings, at pinag-testify ka doon without the prepared sworn affidavit or sworn statement, ang tawag naman doon is still a sworn statement. Bakit? Bakit sworn statement pa rin? Kasi, no, The sworn statement can be in oral form, no? Hindi lang siya ang term na sworn statement, pwede din siyang gamitin pag ito'y oral or verbal, no? Parang both sides pwede siyang gamitin na term. Nakuha. But take note whether it is an affidavit, sworn affidavit, or sworn statement alone, or in verbal form or oral form, same weight lang sila, no? Kasi kapag nagsisinungaling ka sa panahon na nag-testify ka doon or you are under oath, pwede ka pa rin makulong. In summary, a sworn statement is a general term for a statement under made under oath, while an affidavit is a written statement that is signed, notarized, and used as evidence in court with stricter legal implications. So, sana malinaw na sa inyo kung ano ang ibig sabihin ng uh, sworn affidavit at saka sworn, ibig sabihin, the difference between affidavit and a sworn statement. Okay? Um, we will continue our discussion. Uh, this is the continuation. Doon pa rin tayo sa sworn statement at saka sa affidavit. Basta ilagay nyo lang sa isipan nyo the purpose of subscribing an affidavit or notarizing affidavit is to confirm the declarant's identity and ensure the oath is administered properly. Sworn affidavit requires notarization, while sworn statement does not require notarization because it is in oral form. Saan ka mag-notarize doon? Verbal lang yon. No? Nagsasalita ka lang doon sa korte. Instead, sworn statement includes the so-called, tandaan ito, sworn statement, verbal, oral, no? Naglalaman siya ng uh, uh, it includes the so-called endorsement paragraph where the declarants attest to the truth under the penalty of perjury. At ito na ang next na i-discuss natin. So what is an endorsement paragraph? Okay. Endorsement paragraph, also called a, tandaan ito, pakilista na lang, hindi nasali sa screen, verification clause or declaration, no? It is a critical section in a sworn statement where the declarant formally affirms the truthfulness of their statement under penalty of perjury. It serves as a substitute for notarization in some jurisdiction. Kasi hindi mo naman siya pwede ma-notarize doon, hindi, walang papel na pipirmahan doon kasi nga oral. So, itong endorsement paragraph will serve or substitute doon sa notarization. Okay, to differentiate this in an affidavit is that, alam naman natin kanina in our discussion that affidavit or yung written na nga, yung written, no, written affidavit, no, requires the so-called notary jurat. While sworn statement, kasi oral siya, i-rely on the endorsement paragraph alone for validation. So, yon ang kaibahan nila. Pag sworn affidavit, and the last part sa affidavit mo, kung saan i-affirm ng isang notary public, may nakalagay doon na tinatawag na notary jurat. Okay, pero pag ah, oral lang siya, no, sworn statement, endorsement paragraph ang pamamaraan for validation. Example of notary jurat, kung makikita niyo doon sa last portion ng affidavit, no, may nakalagay na subscribe and sworn me before this date, no, yun na yung notary jurat na tinatawag. Okay? In the next episode, there is a separate discussion about jurat and acknowledgement. Doon na lang natin i-expound ang patungkol dito. For now, uunahin muna natin ang endorsement paragraph. In the screen is the sample of an endorsement paragraph, no? I state your name, no? Manunumpa ka doon, whether it is in court, in Congress, or in Senate, no? Magsabi ka doon, I, no? Tampulano, hereby declare under penalty of perjury that the information provided in this sworn statement is true and accurate to the best of my knowledge. I understand that I am making this statement voluntarily and that any false statements may result in legal consequences. I affirm that I am aware of the penalty of perjury and certified authenticity of the facts presented herein. So, ito na ang declaration na sinasabi. By declaring this one, you are now under oath. At ito ang magiging dahilan bakit pwede ka nilang ikulong pag they found out na nagsisinungaling ka. So, itong paragraph na to is very powerful. Ganyan lang yung kaliit. Pero once nagsisinungaling ka at napatunayan nila, pwede ka talaga nilang i-contempt or ikulong. Okay. The endorsement paragraph in a sworn statement serves as a declaration by the affiant that the information provided in the statement is truthful. So, nasabi ko na kanina, by including this paragraph, the affiant acknowledges the legal implications of providing false information and affirms the accuracy of the statements made in the sworn statement. So, take note, no? Tingnan nyo ang ginamit na term, sworn statement. No, hindi siya affidavit. This paragraph reinforces the commitment to honesty and integrity in the document, emphasizing the seriousness of the sworn statement as a legal document. This endorsement paragraph is a critical component of a sworn statement, as it attests to the truthfulness of the information provided and underscores the legal responsibility of the affiant to provide accurate and honest details. So, yun lang po ang coverage ng discussion natin, no? Covering episode 4 o PRV4, no? On the screen, before I end, are your research assignments. Siguro aabot yan ng mga 7 to 8 pages, no? Kayo na bahala, basahin kung ano yung mga ina-advance ko ng mga research assignment. And okay class, this concludes episode 4. Thank you for listening and good day everyone.